Welcome, everyone. I'm Meg Watson, and I lead the product team for Backstage at Spotify. I'm very excited to be with you all today as we kick off our second Spotify for Backstage Roadmap webinar. We intend to keep these coming on a twice-yearly basis. Today, we'll share more on what we've been working on since we last spoke and what we're envisioning for the next chapter of Spotify's open source contributions and commercial offerings for Backstage. We've got a great set of speakers lined up, including Jack Palmer, staff engineer at Spotify, Samantha Kaufman, senior product manager on Spotify plugins for Backstage, Johan Riedberg, general manager for our experimentation platform, aka Confidence, and Noah Lucas, principal product manager within the Backstage team. Our Q&A, which will take place at the end of our webinar today, will be hosted by our business development lead, Lauren Chang. Together, we'll cover a bunch of great content today, including Spotify's open source contributions to evolve the core Backstage platform, how we're improving and adding to the Spotify plugins for Backstage bundle, an overview of Confidence, our recently announced external experimentation platform, and our vision for removing barriers to adoption. We have an action-packed agenda today, and we'll be covering a lot of ground. But don't worry, you can drop questions into the Q&A, which we'll address at the end of today's session. After the webinar, you'll receive an email with all of the useful links and a recording. Before we get into all of the above, I'd like to take us a step back to Spotify's vision for Backstage. It's our belief that every business is now a software business, and every company is now a technology company. But the world of technology has become more fragmented than ever before, with workflows distributed across tons of tools, systems, and services. Best practices are harder to understand and follow, and teams are now distributed, with async collaboration becoming the norm. And this can make work harder than ever before. Instead of focusing on creating innovative products for their users to enjoy, engineers and development teams are bogged down with the overhead of just moving from A to B. This is where Backstage comes in. We believe that software teams are most effective and happiest when the chaos is controlled so they can focus on what matters most, building and shipping great code. Backstage is a software development platform that empowers teams to spend more time innovating and a lot less on the noise. It provides a single, consistent front-end experience for your infrastructure. Backstage fuels productivity by taming complexity, standardizing best practices, and making important resources discoverable, and so much more. We believe that deploying Spotify-created software, including Backstage, is the highest impact decision any organization can make to develop products faster, maintain them more reliably, and support their teams. At Spotify, we've identified that frequent Backstage usage lends itself to improved productivity, with users 2.3 times more active in GitHub. It means greater efficiency, with 17% less cycle time to code changes, and it produces better code, with frequent Backstage users producing code that stays in production 3 times as long. And it's not just working at Spotify. In fact, Backstage is now used by more than 2,200 organizations around the world. Our adopter count has grown by nearly 4x since the beginning of the year, and that's worth celebrating. This growth has been made possible thanks to the work of dedicated contributors within Backstage's open source community. They believe in the platform's power and continue to push this project forward. Backstage's success in open source and its evolution as a mission-critical tool for Spotify's R&D teams has shown us how needed this platform is for companies of all shapes and sizes. So where are we going from here? As for Spotify, we remain committed to our investment in Backstage and plan to continue sharing what we've cooked up internally with all of you. Our goal is to provide a proven Backstage roadmap to enable your teams to accomplish true customization and extensibility without taking on needless complexity or overhead. As for our commitment, Spotify will continue investing in the evolution of Backstage's core platform alongside the open source community. We see ongoing potential to enrich the experience with new capabilities and are investing in foundational improvements based on the feedback from the Backstage community. Jack will share more on this focus area in just a bit. As we've previously shared, Spotify has been investing in improvements to the experience of adopting Backstage, and we're focused on delivering product enhancements to make it easier to get up and running and to find value with Backstage. We've also begun testing enterprise support with a small subset of customers, which will be a huge feedback channel to inform how we're meeting enterprise needs. Over time, we envision adding even more of Spotify's expertise via curated onboarding experiences, new user activation journeys, and improved information architecture. As the creators of Backstage, we believe Spotify has unique expertise to offer. We want to share our knowledge in the form of new products and services so adopters can see the productivity and efficiency gains we've seen from Backstage and our development best practices at large. Since launching the Spotify plugins for Backstage bundle last December, we've heard a ton of great feedback from customers, and we'll share more on how we're using that feedback to fuel our product direction. With all that said, let's shift gears into our speaker segments. First, I'll hand it off to Jack, who will share more on Spotify's contributions to the Backstage open source platform.
Thanks, Meg. Hi, everyone. I'm Jack Palmer, staff engineer for Backstage. I'm super excited to talk to you all today about Spotify's continued energy in the Backstage open source project. At Spotify, we're very committed to open source software, especially when it comes to Backstage. Our mission remains for Backstage to become the industry standard developer portal. Like Meg mentioned before, we know firsthand how valuable Backstage can be, and we want to help other companies realize that value. And our work to accomplish our mission for Backstage really starts with the open source ecosystem. It's the linchpin to everything else we build for Backstage, so the health of the open source project is foundational and vital to our vision. We love our Backstage community, and the love keeps growing. Our global network of more than 1,200 contributors enable constant iterations and improvements to the core platform. We also love hearing all the unique experiences from different community members and what it means to develop and maintain Backstage at your own organizations. Hearing your insight with Backstage, whether it's on Discord or at a SIG meeting, informs how we contribute to Backstage. Based on what we've been hearing from the community, I'm proud to share 3 major contributions with you all. First up is our focus on making Backstage easier to use throughout the entire adoption journey. From discovering what problems Backstage can solve for you, to getting a Backstage instance up and running, or to driving widespread adoption. We believe this journey can be significantly improved by removing the dependency of writing code. Right now, if you want to test out a new plugin, you need to consider a couple of pretty technical concepts, like how to integrate the plugin, discover the dependencies it requires, code and configure the plugin in multiple places, and apply mandatory configuration. As your Backstage application grows, this can become difficult and tedious, putting a larger burden on a small subset of people maintaining the app in your org. We don't want you to waste precious development time trying to consider all these factors. We want you to be able to try out new plugins quickly, customize your Backstage app without substantial technical overhead, and upgrade your Backstage app with greater ease. So what would it look like if Backstage could manage this technical overhead for you? That's the question we've been asking ourselves at Spotify, and we answered that by collaborating closely with the Backstage maintainers to find a solution. Introducing declarative integration of plugins, a simplified integration of plugins powered by your config. It allows you to add plugins to your app without writing any code. With this new capability, you no longer need to know TypeScript, Node.js, or write any code to get started with Backstage or set up a new plugin. All the integration is in one place. Instead of spending your technical resources on managing Backstage, you can refocus that energy and time managing your own products and shipping new features within Backstage. Plugins will now have default configuration settings and implementations baked into them. Moving forward, all of Spotify's new products will leverage declarative integration to make the app integrator's experience simpler. It also makes it easier than ever to upgrade Backstage, as integration changes are now packaged within the plugin and shipped with the version upgrade. Due to the consistent and predictable installation approach that declarative integration brings, then this unlocks upgrade tooling such as code mods to assist with major breaking changes. Declarative integration is still in development, and we encourage backends and plugins to migrate to the new backend system to get ready for the release of declarative integration. You can find out more about how to do this by reading the Declarative Integration RFC on GitHub, reading through the new backend system docs, or posting in our Declarative Integration channel on Discord. We're eager to see how this facilitates adoption and maintenance of your apps. Expressing plugins via config provides the foundations for so many opportunities in the future of Backstage. You'll hear more on how our new products will leverage declarative integration later in the webinar. While we've been focusing on making Backstage easier to maintain, we've also been working on addressing the needs of the day-to-day users of the platform. While Backstage unlocks an improved developer experience in our org, it's important we continue to iterate and get feedback from our own end users. And that's why we run quarterly internal surveys and research how Backstage is used by our R&D teams and beyond. A common theme we observed internally was improving discoverability on our Backstage homepage. Homepages should enable fast discovery for end users so that they can quickly identify what they need to do. But internally, we measured that 70% of all interactions on the homepage were clicks directly into search. This was a problem. Going directly to search means that our end users were taking additional steps to reach their destination and that our homepage was not enabling discoverability. So we created a brand new homepage from scratch. We've added emphasis on enhancing insights and context available to the user, with the aim to reduce the need to crawl through search results. So far, our users are loving this new homepage. We know that Spotifyers aren't the only ones that struggle with discoverability, and so we're releasing this into the open source. The insightful homepage consists of a collection of components that belong to the home plugin. We hope that these components enable your developers to move faster with unique content served to them when they need it, instead of manually discovering what they're looking for. We're initially shipping the top visited and recently visited components. Personalized to the user, we observe these to serve the majority of our users' needs, contributing to the highest click-through rates. These components can be added to your own Backstage homepage as of next week. We're giving the new homepage a try, and let us know what you think. We'll be continuing to contribute more features that improve the discoverability experience for all Backstage users. Now that we've covered simplifying Backstage and enhancing discoverability, I'd like to close out my portion of the roadmap by talking about accessibility. At Spotify, accessibility is the heart of everything we do, and we're committed to making the Backstage project inclusive to all. Last webinar, we spoke of our accessibility improvements working towards 508 compliance for our core plugins, and we haven't stopped there. Our initial improvements that we made to accessibilities were focused on tooling and automation. Over the past 6 months, we have taken a deeper look at our components and the development processes we have in place to raise the bar for accessibility. We consulted with third parties and are currently conducting a thorough audit of Backstage's accessibility standards. Once the audit is complete, we will resolve any issues and contribute those fixes to the open source so that all users of Backstage worldwide can share the benefits of an improved experience for all. But we don't want the improvements to stop with the core components of the platform. We also want to make our accessibility best practices, well, more accessible for plugin owners. Last webinar, we announced that we have added automated continuous integration tooling to test the core Backstage plugins. Now I'm pleased to announce that we've opened this up to other plugins. We've published a guide for broadening accessibility within Backstage products on backstage.io. New features can be built with accessibility as an essential feature, and we're hopeful that these improvements will push us all to build a great Backstage experience for everyone. So I've covered Spotify's 3 main contributions to the open source ecosystem since we last spoke. We'll be sharing links to learn more about declarative integration, the insightful homepage, and our accessibility improvements. Thank you for your time today. And now I'll hand things over to Sam to talk about the progress we're making on the Spotify plugins for Backstage Bundle.
Thanks, Jack. Hello, everyone. I'm Sam Kaufman, and I'm a Senior Product Manager on the Backstage team. Today, I'll share some fresh insights from our team on the impact of plugins at Spotify and highlight feedback from our customers using Soundcheck and Skill Exchange. Then I will share some major feature updates that we've made to the bundle since May, new enhancements we have planned for the bundle, and new plugins that we're building for the bundle. As a quick refresher, Spotify Plugins for Backstage is a bundle of 5 premium plugins made by our developers for your teams. The plugins, Soundcheck, RBAC, Insights, Skill Exchange, and Pulse, are designed to accelerate your developer experience goals and make your Backstage app more useful. Solutions like Soundcheck, Skill Exchange, and Pulse are external versions of homegrown plugins Spotify has been using for years to solve common development challenges, from improving tech health to finding out what our engineers are really struggling with. Before we dive into what we've been working on, I want to highlight a couple studies our data scientists recently published on how Soundcheck and Skill Exchange drive measurable results for our teams at Spotify. First up is Skill Exchange, our home for all short-term learning and development activities. We conducted an observational study since launching Skill Exchange at Spotify and found that employees who participated in applied learning activities reported higher productivity, saw more career growth, and were less likely to leave the company. These activities, including embedding, which gives engineers, researchers, designers, data practitioners, and even product managers the ability to temporarily work in new squads. Mentorships and hacking, either as a part of our Global Hack Week or ad hoc hacks. Whether customers are just starting to build a learning and development culture or using Skill Exchange to power existing activities, customers like Shutterstock are also finding value from Skill Exchange. The Shutterstock team used Skill Exchange to better adopt their 20-plus year company-wide hackathon to a distributed workforce, and are excited about its potential to inspire more ad hoc hacking and greater Backstage adoption. Now, let's take a look at Soundcheck. Soundcheck is a plugin that ensures quality, reliability, and alignment of software development with codified checks and guidance. Soundcheck ensures that all of your software is built to the engineering standards that you expect at your organization, while also making it easier for all of your engineers to know about and follow these standards. At Spotify, Soundcheck started as an effort to draw a straight line between an individual developer's decision-making to our top-line goals for engineering excellence and quality. And as you can see, it has delivered measurable results. Just by showing our developers opportunities to improve our tech health, we've driven a significant decrease in technology fragmentation and seen higher developer productivity rates, efficiency improvements, and faster incident response. Soundcheck is one of our most popular plugins with our customers, and for good reason. Our customers are also seeing results from Soundcheck in their efforts to drive better code quality and tech health. And as you can see from the feedback a few have shared. Since we launched the bundle last year, we've been building new features into the individual plugins and more interoperability between them. But as Meg mentioned, our roadmap is driven primarily by direct feedback from you, our customers. And we've heard some themes pop up. First, you want more insights that span all your plugins to understand what impact they have on your engineering organization. Second, you'd like to see more third-party integrations within our plugins. We don't want to just be another tool. We want to be the single pane of glass for all things inside your engineering organization and beyond. Lastly, you would benefit from more guidance and enablement materials from us. We want to facilitate your onboarding experience and help you get value faster from the plugins. Expect to see more features, roadmap items, and resources that specifically address those concerns in the next few months. Before we get too far into the future, let's take a look at what we've built since we met this May. In particular, with Soundcheck and Insights. We've specifically ensured that we're making progress on the features you keep requesting, like usage reports and filtering capabilities for Insights, the ability to build Soundcheck checks without needing to write code, and reporting capabilities for Soundcheck to track program progress over time. let's dive a bit deeper into what we've been working on with SoundCheck. The ability to know how important it is to track the progress against your tech health initiatives is why we've recently released a reporting feature into SoundCheck. Engineering leads will now have access to a single aggregated view of the programs they are tracking, which teams are making the most progress, and which still need to make progress. The SoundCheck main homepage now contains a Tech Health tab, where leaders can both view and filter aggregate SoundCheck results across teams. Imagine you are overseeing a project to roll out security improvements across every team. With Tech Health reports, you can see the progress of all teams and components and who is currently meeting standards. As mentioned earlier, we also did a major revamp of our Insights plugin this summer. We wanted to give customers what they were asking for, an in-depth look at their usage patterns that enable data-informed decisions on how to roll out Backstage successfully. So we gave Insights a new home within Backstage, introduced data filtering, and added more data sources, all so that you can dive into the data you care about and make the best decisions for your adoption journey. Now that we've covered what we've been up to since our webinar, let's dive into the next portion, new features that we're shipping for the bundle over the next few months. In November, we'll be releasing a new feature to RBAC for expanding the visibility of permissions. Soon, you will be able to identify which entities within Backstage hold specific permissions, no matter where you are within your Backstage environment, for the times when you may need to check who has permission to make changes to your component. Soon after that, you will be able to export Tech Health reports directly from SoundCheck. So if you need to share the latest status of a Tech Health initiative, you can quickly export your report and share directly to your manager or leads in Slack, over email, or in a meeting. Next for SoundCheck will be campaigns, which helps drive focused initiatives such as when the Log4j library needs to be updated across teams. We will also be working on adding the ability to send notifications when the status of a campaign changes. And now on to Pulse. Don't underestimate the power of asking the right questions. Talking to your engineers is one of the best ways to understand problems and opportunities faced by your organization. We've been busy building out a more powerful version of Pulse that will enable you to learn much more about your R&D experience with more survey templates and survey questions. This includes a new type of survey called lightning surveys, which are short, low risk, but high value survey templates that enable you to get started with Pulse quickly. And finally, we will be updating the Skill Exchange hack experience. The updated version of hacks will include improvements to discoverability, making it easier to find your colleagues' hack ideas based on their context, including a new view that allows your hack teams to easily manage votes for their favorite hacks. Lots of exciting things to look forward to within the bundle. Now, let's close out the section by talking about new plugins we're exploring. Currently in development, we are extending the existing Cost Insights plugin, which enables you to see your team's cloud costs from within Backstage and provides recommended actions to improve your financial and sustainability footprint. It is a key part of our toolkit to manage cloud spend, including as a part of a recent initiative that saw tens of millions of dollars in cloud cost savings over the course of a year. We also have two products in private beta. First, we have Data Experience, a new solution that enables organizations to see all of their data next to their software catalog directly within Backstage. We view the data experience as a critical component of what makes Backstage work so well at Spotify. And second, we have Confidence, which you will hear much more about next. All these additions represent our continued commitment to supporting Backstage, its adopters, and the development ecosystem at large by sharing more of Spotify's expertise with you. In summary, we're invested in the plugin bundle and are excited to continue working with our customers to improve and define the future for these plugins. With that, I'm very happy to introduce Johan, who will share more about Confidence.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Johan Rydberg, and I'm the General Manager for Experimentation Platform at Spotify. Today, I'll talk about Spotify's experimentation culture and the tools we built along the way to enable experimentation at scale. Spotify has always been a company that experiments in various shapes and forms. Over 10 years ago, A/B testing became one of the most important tools to learn from our users. As you can imagine, back then things were kind of scrappy, and almost all steps of an experiment were done manually, and the whole process took several months to go through. In 2013, we decided to start building ABBA, our first platform for experimentation. As a result, we could start running hundreds of tests per year, which had a huge impact on our product development speed. Since then, we have invested heavily in our tooling and practices. And in 2018, we started our next platform iteration, simply called the experimentation platform. Today, we have over 300 teams running tens of thousands of experiments every year. Experimentation has been integrated into almost every part of the company, and we use tests to evaluate everything from small UI changes to big investments in content. In August, we announced that we've taken everything we learned about experimentation and putting it into Confidence, our new externalized experimentation platform. One of our biggest insights over the years is that there's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to experimentation tooling. Needs depend a lot on the maturity and scale of your company, your business model, and your culture. Because of this, many companies end up building their own tooling, which is a multi-year investments that could have been put towards their core mission instead. This is why we have decided Confidence as a set of independent APIs that solve the common needs for experimentation and allow you to focus on the needs that are most important for you and your business. Confidence has feature flags, metrics, data collection, and naturally our statistics engine that we built at Spotify through years of research and evaluation. On top of these APIs, we have a Backstage plugin that incorporates all the best practices of experimentation from Spotify. It is the plugin that creates a great coherent experience for the teams that experiment. Being part of Backstage brings experimentation next to other tools used to build and run your product, keeping the build, measure, learn loop in the same ecosystem and experience. The Confidence Backstage plugin is free and comes with source code, so you can modify it and adapt it to your needs. For example, if you want to build in a governance step to your tests, you can do so yourself. With Confidence, experimentation is not a build versus buy decision, but rather build and buy, which is commonplace for successful tech companies, all made possible by Backstage plugin architecture. So let's take a look at what this experience looks like by walking you through how to configure an A/B test and how Confidence helps you analyze and make a decision from the result.
Imagine that we're running an experiment on the checkout flow and we want to understand if we can reduce the checkout time without hurting sales if we allow users to skip creating an account during the checkout flow. For a well-designed experiment, you should decide upfront how you want to test your hypothesis. In Confidence, you do this by defining your success and guardrail metrics. Success metrics are the metrics you want to see changing for the experiment to be successful. Guardrail metrics are metrics that you want to make sure hasn't broken anything or degrading important company metrics. Now we're ready to launch the experiment. That's all you have to do to configure and start an experiment in Confidence. Pretty simple for the user. Let's switch over to an experiment that has finished running so we can look at some results. At the bottom here you can see the results for each metric. For success metrics we can see we have a statistical significant change, which is what we're hoping for. We can also look at the details for the result. Here we can see how the effects change over time as more data comes in. At Spotify, we've done research on sequential testing to make sure that we can continuously look at metric results without increasing the risk for false positives. But there are more factors that go into whether an experiment was successful or not. In Confidence, we continuously monitoring metrics in the background to make sure there's no undesired effects. Of course, you want your metrics to improve, but in reality, often you end up moving the metrics in the opposite direction, which is why it's so important to test your ideas with data. With confidence, you will know when that happens. You can decide if you want to abort the experiment. Confidence also runs various integrity checks, such as testing for sample ratio mismatch, to ensure that the result can be trusted. At Spotify, over 10% of experiments have some kind of issue, and these checks help us catch those problems early. Spotify runs thousands of tests every year, and these checks saves us from making hundreds of bad decisions. As you can see, there are many factors that go into making a good decision for your product and end users. If you're not experienced, it can be quite hard. That's why Confidence has something called shipping recommendations. Shipping recommendations takes all of these factors, the success and guardrail metrics, the automatic monitoring and the integrity checks, and gives you a recommendation for what to do next. Should you ship your treatment? Should you abort because there's something wrong? Or should you continue running the experiment because you don't know yet if it's better or worse? Shipping recommendations has helped Spotify to make better decisions faster and also helped us automate some decisions. And of course, we put statistical rigorousness into the recommendations so all the risks are controlled for.
What I've shown you today is the result of a decade of work and research conducted at Spotify that we're now making available to others. If you're interested in hearing more about Confidence or want to try it out, sign up for our private beta waiting list. Thank you. And now over to Noah to share more about Spotify's effort to remove barriers to adoption for Backstage.
Thanks, Johan. Hi, everyone. I'm Noah Lucas, a principal product manager for Backstage. My job is to make Backstage easier to adopt by understanding current barriers and developing new solutions that the community realize to help the community realize the power of Backstage faster. We've spoken to a lot of people in the community, and throughout our conversations, a recurring theme has emerged. Setting up a new Backstage instance is complicated. The current process is manual and includes over 70 steps driven by code, which can mean that it's easy to get off track or stuck. That's obviously a significant barrier to adoption. We're aiming to remove that complexity with Spotify's Quick Start offering. Quick Start represents our biggest effort yet to make getting started with Backstage easier. You may have already heard about Quick Start if you attended our first roadmap webinar earlier this year. I'm here to share more concrete details as we prepare to bring this product into the market early next year. With Quick Start, the installation process is simplified from more than 70 steps down to just as few as 3. Imagine a Backstage setup driven by a no-code UI, curated to your needs and streamlined so you can get started faster. Quick Start significantly simplifies the setup process by automatically configuring your new Backstage installation with your preferred plugins through declarative integration. A user-friendly configuration wizard then walks you through the process, requiring no coding on your part before guiding you to set up your chosen database. At launch, Quick Start will support all core plugins, including Software Catalog, Software Templates, Tech Docs, Search, and Kubernetes, making your initial setup a breeze. After setup, long-term maintenance becomes significantly easier thanks to automated updates as new versions become available. I'm going to give a sneak peek with a demo of Quick Start so you can see how easy it is.
Quick Start automates and consolidates your setup process and adds an easy-to-use interface, so setup is less error-prone and requires significantly less time in the terminal. Declarative integration is the magic under the hood that ensures the right plugins are automatically identified and integrated to streamline the setup process even more. First, run your Spotify Quick Start for Backstage Docker image and sign in using the password set in the terminal. Next, add your GitHub credentials and access preferences. Submit and confirm your settings. you can jump straight into your Backstage instance and get started right away. Lastly, a valuable long-term benefit is that Backstage instances set up with Quick Start will include automated updates when new versions are available, which reduce your maintenance costs over time.
Thank you so much for being with us today. We're super excited about Quick Start and can't wait to get it in the hands of the Backstage community. Sign up for updates after today's webinar and stay tuned for more details as we move through the testing period. And now I'll throw it back to Meg for one final update before we tackle Q&A.
Thank you, Noah. Quick Start is a major step forward in making the Backstage journey much easier to get started with, and we're looking forward to sharing it broadly in 2024. I know I might sound like a broken record, but it's important that we say again how committed Spotify is to the Backstage open source project, and that we prove that by continuing to support open source and DIY paths while we're bringing our own solutions to the table. The Backstage community has been incredibly successful in driving contributions of over 100 plugins in the open source ecosystem. Those solutions are diverse and representative across infrastructure and development tools, but they don't always end up being easy to find, well-maintained, or secure. So adopters aren't always sure that they can trust using them within their Backstage instance. As we hinted at in the May roadmap session, I can now share that we will launch Spotify's marketplace for Backstage next month. The marketplace will contain solutions from Spotify in addition to those from trusted partners, including VMware, Red Hat, Sneak, PagerDuty, CircleCI, and Weaveworks. Many, many more partners to be announced soon. While our initial marketplace will feature select partners, we will quickly expand the offering to enable contributors and commercial partners of all kinds to register their offerings following our launch. Our goal is to make this the one-stop shop for all of your needs within Backstage. If you are interested in being a future partner, you can let us know in the interest form we'll share after today's webinar. We've also heard loud and clear that organizations are looking for more guidance from Spotify to find the best approach with Backstage and development best practices at large. So, as you've seen today, Spotify is investing across this journey, from getting started with Backstage to expanding its reach within your organization and finding new solutions as your needs evolve. Spotify for Backstage's offerings, from Quick Start and the Marketplace to the plugin bundle and enterprise support, will allow you to leverage Spotify's unique expertise within the Backstage ecosystem to help you solve development problems we've dealt with ourselves over the years. We're looking forward to continuing to share more with you across this full journey, building on what we've shared today. With that, we will shift over to Q&A. A big thank you to each of our speakers and our teams for the work going on behind the scenes. And thanks to you all for joining us today. We hope you'll continue with us on this journey by signing up for a demo to learn more about the commercial bundle and by filling out the interest form to let us know what new stuff you'd like to learn more about. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Lauren Chang, who will lead our Q&A. Over to you, Lauren.
Thanks, Meg. Hey, everyone. I'm Lauren, and I lead business development for Backstage. First of all, I want to thank everyone for their participation today, to all of our existing and potential customers for your engagement in helping to influence our roadmap. We're thrilled at all the excitement we've seen with the questions flowing in. And of course, to our panelists that are building all the amazing things we're releasing over the coming months. We'll be dropping links to all the resources we mentioned during our session into the chat now, and we'll follow up over email as well. We'll aim to cover the most frequently asked questions in this session. For those that have asked technical open source related questions, the best place to get these answered will be in the weekly open source office hours. You can sign up for those on backstage.io or on Discord. If you have technical questions about the plugin bundle or any Spotify related offerings, you can get those answered in our weekly plugin demo sessions. Sign up for those on backstage.spotify.com. All right, now let's get started and hear what questions you have for us. So the first question that we're going to start with is about declarative integration. So when can I start using declarative integration? And I will pass that off to Jack to answer.
Thanks. Yeah, so for backend plugins, you can start supporting it today. If you're a plugin owner, then all you need to do is support the new backend system approach. By doing this, it means that the plugin will also be compatible with Quick Start, as it itself is powered by declarative integration. Front-end declarative integration is coming soon, so keep an eye on the open source release notes and the blog on backstage.io.
Thanks, Jack. All right, moving on to the next question. The next question is, any plans on going more no code like Port? I am working on a code generator for Backstage to create custom Backstage entities out of JSON schema, including declarative UI. Don't want to develop a parallel solution to things already in the making. Appreciate that question, and we don't want you to either. Let me see, can I pass that off to you, Meg, to answer?
Yes, great question. So as Noah covered today, Quick Start is a big part of our strategy here. Our hope is that by releasing Quick Start, we're really beginning down this path of no and low code solutions and on-ramps to Backstage that exist really, really broadly within the entire community of adopters, as well as with Spotify customers. So we will continue to invest in the open source path alongside Quick Start. But our hope with Quick Start is really to provide essentially a golden path and on-ramp that is lower code and makes things far easier. So we'll continue to provide much more information here as we approach general availability next year. And we would also suggest plugging into our community. So adopter and contributor sessions are great ways to hear about what other work is going on in the community, what you might be able to leverage there, and can learn more about declarative integration, which is another way that we are removing the need to write code. So much more to come, and we would highly encourage staying tuned both with Spotify and also within community sessions as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Meg. All right, moving on to a confidence question. And Johan, hopefully I can pass this over to you. So what is required for confidence to find and analyze metrics? Can it connect to metrics in any data lake? How does it determine what experience the user is assigned to during analysis?
So confidence confidence integrates with your data warehouse. So we support the bigger data warehouses, as you can imagine, BigQuery and Snowflake and Databricks and so forth. So confidence don't require you to send any data to us for analysis, but rather we connect to your data warehouse. So to define metrics, you write queries towards your data warehouse and we process them. And it's the same thing for assignment logs. So the metric system in Confidence assumes that there's assignment logs in your data warehouse, and we can leverage them to do the analysis. Our feature flagging system in Confidence writes its assignment logs into your data warehouse as well. So you can use them with our metric system, or you could use it with some other metric system if you want to do that.
Great, thank you. Okay, moving on, we have a couple of sound check questions that we'd like to address. Hoping I can tag Sam, you into the sound check questions. So the first one is, how can we utilize the squad health check with Backstage? I think this is also related to, I'm going to group these questions together. So the first is, how can we utilize the squad health check with Backstage? And the second one is, do your users go to the platform daily to look at health metrics, or do you also send an alert when something unexpected or bad happens? So Sam, maybe you can speak a little bit more about our health checks.
Yeah, of course. So at this very moment, we're focused on surfacing tech health vitals via SoundCheck plugins, but looking to expand into other aspects of team health, Pulse plugin being one of the solutions to surface self-reported productivity. Additionally, today, the tech health reports that we mentioned include aggregations across your existing SoundCheck checks and programs. This alerting notification capability are not yet supported, but as I mentioned in the bundle roadmap, this will be covered as a part of an upcoming campaigns feature for SoundCheck being released later this year. So to learn more about how this feature works, how to use it, use cases, we highly recommend attending the weekly demo that Lauren mentioned, where we dive deeper into these plugins and how to use them, as well as how to get access to them.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. All right, next question up. Quick Start. Meg, question for you. Is Quick Start a contribution to OSS or a Spotify commercial capability?
Sure. So to start, the alpha for Quick Start will be free. Keep an eye on backstage.spotify.com early next year, and we can let you know about how we are sharing this more broadly. We're really excited about Quick Start. As Noah hit on earlier, there's just so much opportunity here. So what we're prioritizing while we're early is really committing to getting a bunch of feedback, which is why we are making it free to begin with. So much more to come, and we will figure out where we go from here. And then declarative integration, which Jack spoke to today, is part of an open source commitment from Spotify. So that will be part of what we are sharing soon too.
Awesome. Thanks, Meg. All right, next question, also about Quick Start, but going to kick this question off to Noah. So will we be able to import existing Backstage instances into the update feature retroactively?
Thanks. Yes, so we recognize that these benefits in particular lower the maintenance cost and are compelling for existing Backstage adopters, not just new folks. Right now, we're focusing on testing Quick Start with new adopters, but over time, we will explore a transition plan for those already using Backstage today. More to come on this. Definitely let us know if you'd like to stay tuned via our through our interest form. Thanks.
Thanks, Noah. All right, next question. Meg, AI. How are we thinking about the future of AI in our products?
What a great question. So AI is definitely something Spotify is focused on. You may have heard of our DJ that is existing in our consumer music product that is going super, super well. We're excited about the opportunity that AI presents inside Backstage and in the development experience generally. I think there's just so much opportunity here. So much so that we have actually recently dedicated our company-wide Hack Week to this topic. And what we saw was some really innovative concepts from our team on ways that we could leverage AI within Backstage. Hopefully much more to come here soon from Spotify. But yeah, just to say for sure, we are very interested, very excited about what we could do here.
Thanks, Meg. Okay, let's see. Next question is around the data plugin. So will the data catalog plugin only work with GCP backends, or will it be somewhat agnostic? And if agnostic, is there any indication on support for AWS, on-prem, and Azure? Meg, can I pass that back to you?
Yes, you sure can. So the answer here is that we are really early on shaping this, which means that we are going to adjust as we hear from customers on what the needs really are. So the hope is to be as agnostic as possible. As we work to shape this, as we get information from early alpha partners and then continue to roll out more broadly, we will remain flexible here, just as we have with the other solutions we've shared with the market. So much more to come on this one.
Thanks, Meg. Okay, next question back on Quick Start. Is Quick Start a good approach for large enterprise deployments? Can I pass that to you, Noah?
Yes, thanks, Lauren. So enterprise, this is definitely an area that we're focused on for Quick Start and supporting large enterprise instances of Backstage. As we go through the beta process and move closer toward launch in early next year, we will be assessing the features needed to support these types of users more broadly and prioritize that work as needed. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Noah. Can I also kick actually back another question to you, Noah, around Quick Start and migration? So will existing adopters be able to migrate and transition to Quick Start over time? Oh, looks like we already
Yeah.
answered that question. Apologies.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, all right. Let's see, what else do we have? I think one of the questions that I also wanted to get answered for those partners that are out there in the audience is whether or not we have a partner program, and I'm going to answer that. We are currently building out a partner program alongside the launch of the marketplace. So partners are obviously a huge part of our strategy, and we are looking forward to connecting with you. So if you are interested in participating in the marketplace, being a partner, please be sure to fill out the interest form that we will share after today's webinar. All right, we have another sound check question. So Sam, I will pass this to you. Can I feed data, facts, etc., to SoundCheck from plugins freely available?
Hi, thanks, Lauren. Yeah, this is a great question. As mentioned in the 3 themes that we're seeing from customer feedback, we are committed to building out our third-party integrations, especially for plugins that are freely available in the open source community. So look out for updates from us in our release notes. We are especially committed to this on SoundCheck. So just stay tuned. We're building this out next year.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that's about all the time we have for today. If we didn't get to your questions, please be sure to keep an eye out for our follow-up email. You can indicate what products and services you're interested in to ensure you receive the right communication. Thank you again for the incredible participation, and we look forward to seeing you at our next roadmap webinar. Thanks, everyone.